The dawn over the Blackwater was pale and watchful, a thin ribbon of bruised violet draped across the horizon, while the towers of the Red Keep still clung to their nighttime hush. Somewhere in the bowels of the castle a bell chimed the hour, low and hollow, and its echo wound through deserted stairwells like a weary cat. Lord Jon Arryn, Hand of the King, had risen before the bell. Habit drew him from dreams long before light touched the high windows of the Tower of the Hand. Another habit, born of 50 years of service rather than simple restlessness, pulled him now toward the cedar desk sprawled beneath scrolls and cracked seals. He had slept in a quilted robe of veil blue, but sleep had been thin as watered wine. Every turning of the night's glass had shown him some different face of treachery, and by the time morning whispered he felt older than he ever had in Gultan's long winters. His hand closed around a curling parchment. The wax was broken. The writing within smelled faintly of pine resin and damp wool. House Stark's distinctive ink. Eddard's script carried the weight of a father who paced before a hearth, too late at night. "My lord," it said, "I pray your findings are wrong, and still I fear they are much too right." Ned Stark was a man who wasted no strokes of the quill. When he wrote fear, it meant fear as stark as a bare blade. Jon Arryn laid the letter beside others, a midwife's dying confession from Dragonstone, a sworn brother's muttered doubts recorded at Storm's End, Jaime Lannister's insolent grin pinned in memory like a rusted dagger. They formed a constellation of deceit, yet Robert Baratheon, King of the Seven Kingdoms, his foster son and dearest friend, drank hunting wine, laughed with whores, and never saw how seven-pointed stars could be forged from rumor into cutting steel. The Hand of the King exhaled, a sound like parchment tearing. Today he would present proof, not whispers. He would climb the spiral of Maegor's holdfast, stand before Robert's small council, and let truth unfurl. It was a simple plan on its face, but the simplicity carried dangers a prudent man could taste in his throat. If the wolf pups truly wore the lion's mane, the realm teetered at the edge of a blade. By second hour, the Red Keep stirred with life. Servants hustled clattering platters down corridors. Kettle drums of the Goldcloaks rolled across the courtyard, announcing the marshal's inspection, and ravens croaked restlessly from the rookery spires. Jon Arryn walked alone, cloak trailing behind like river mist, his guards dismissed. It was not pride. The old falcon of the Vale believed blades invited blades. Better to pass quietly, a gray feather drifting through roosting hawks. Outside the council chamber stood Sir Boros Blount, moonpale under varnished enamel. The Kingsguard knight inclined his helmet by a hair's breadth. "My Lord Hand," he murmured. No challenge, no suspicion. Even honor-bound white knights could miss poison blooming beneath their own armor. Within the room, fire bolted in an iron basket, caged by coiled serpents of blackened brass. Varys half-lounged on a cushioned seat, powdered hands folded as if in prayer. Pettier Baelish traced lazy sketches on the map table with one finger, shepherding invisible coins from Gulltown to King's Landing. Grand Maester Pycelle adjusted his chain, so heavy it seemed forged from sluggish dread. And seated apart, beneath the antlered sigil of his house, Stannis Baratheon glowered at no one and everyone, raw candlelight sparking off the cords in his jaw. It was not yet time for Robert. King or no, Robert would be roused when Robert chose. "My lords," Jon Arryn said, voice measured, "I have come with a matter weighty as storm clouds. But storms may be steered if one sets the sails early." Littlefinger's smile flickered like a silver fish. "Storms, sails, clouds? Does the Vale's mountain air breed poets now?" Pycelle's white brows leapt. "Our good Lord Hand is no poet, I think. He speaks of governance." The words told slow, but Arryn heard the faint tremor beneath them. Varys steepled fingers. "We are ever eager for guidance, my lord. This city is a quilt stitched from secrets, and threads unravel easily." Stannis said nothing. His silence loomed larger than any greeting. Jon Arryn unfurled the first parchment, one chosen for cruelty of clarity. A listing of Baratheon lineage reaching back to Orys, annotated with the colors of house features: black hair, blue eyes, granite jaw. Across the page, resemblance repeated like a drumbeat. He laid a second parchment beside it. Features of the queen's children, annotated similarly. Gold of hair, green of eye. The aristocratic tilt of chin, known too well in Casterly Rock. On a third parchment the bastard born of King Robert, and a tavern wench in the Vale, his mother's affidavit bearing witness to black curls and eyes like a summer sea. Pettier Balish's humming ceased. Varys's face turned to soft lament. Pycelle opened his mouth but found no air. Only Stannis leaned forward, the lines around his eyes nearly splitting with pent tension. He had suspected. Suspicion now clothed itself in flesh. "My lords," Jon Arryn said, "this is not rumor. These parchments are sworn. Maester Collin's tinctures confirmed the authenticity. I sought midwives, septons. I rode in secret to Storm's End disguised as a hedge knight. What I confirmed there was what Eddard Stark once saw in Lyanna's smile. Truth, though men would rather drown it." "Menno." Baelish exhaled, a near laugh. "These observations of hair and eye? Children are not bred like studs for sale. They are," Stannis growled, "when each stud births the same colt." His hand clenched on the table edge. Pycelle wheezed. "Surely we must consider." "The king will consider," Arryn cut in, soft but lethal. "When he learns his seed has not sat the throne, he must consider." The queen entered then, unannounced. Her gown a river of crimson velvet, long blonde hair combed to bright banners. Sir Jaime paced behind her like a restless cat. Jon Arryn saw in their arrival no coincidence. Whispers traveled faster than ravens. "My lords," Cersei Lannister said, voice all sugar. She glanced at the parchments. "Such artistry. Are we planning a spectacle?" Baelish bowed deeply. "A small spectacle, your grace, though perhaps with thunderous applause." Varys rose, his silk robes rustling. "Your grace, no council was called at this hour. Might I ask what brings you?" A mother's curiosity. Her eyes landed on Arryn. "And a wife's indulgence." "Lord Hand, would you indulge me?" Jon Arryn did not flinch. "Gladly, your grace. Indulgence suits truths unfit for false ears." He gestured to Blount. "Sir, see the doors barred until His Majesty arrives." Jaime's hand drifted toward pommel. "The doors stay open. The Queen rules in the King's absence." "You rule no one," Stannis barked. "Until the King wears his crown awake." Tension hissed like a reined stallion. Arryn watched Jaime's sword hand. Cersei's sham smile. Little fingers, widening eyes. Even Pycelle's chain rattled faintly. If steel were drawn, the truth would drown in blood. A bellow crashed beyond the oaken doors. "Open the way! Gods take your eyes, Boros, open!" Robert Baratheon stamped inside, his boarskin jerkin half-fastened, smelling of strong wine and sweat. Yet his gaze, when it fell upon Jon Arryn, sharpened with an old campaigner's instinct. "Jon, why do I wake to find half my council skulking in corners?" The hand turned parchment toward him. "Read, your grace." Robert squinted, then frowned. He read lists of names, features, signatures. His lips moved, as if tasting soured milk. "What trickery?" Cersei stepped close. "A cruel jest, my love. Pay it no mind." Robert's eyes lifted slowly to his queen, and Jon Arryn saw something break there, like ice beneath a mailed boot. "A jest?" Robert whispered. "You think me a jester?" Jon Arryn spoke quietly. "Ask what color hair your firstborn had, my king. Ask the child yourself." The council chamber held its breath. The queen's smile folded. "You will not speak to my—" Robert moved past her, a swift bear. He seized the parchments again, lips trembling. Rage flooded his face in wine-dark tides. "Where is Joffrey? Bring the boy. Bring them all." Spit glistened at corners of his beard. Jon Arryn placed a firm hand on Robert's forearm. "Hold, old friend. Proof is one thing, judgment another. Summon Stannis Maester. Summon Sir Barristan." Let no rumor stain children's ears until truth is ironclad. Cersei hissed. Your proof is mud and scribbles. You think to undo me with nursery tales? You overstep, old man. Bendersen. Littlefinger's laughter chirruped thinly, like a reed whistle. We teeter upon a splendid precipice. Shall we step back or tumble as one? Stannis glared. Tumble those who deserve tumbling. Robert's voice boomed, louder than hunting horns. Enough. Cersei, to your chambers. I will have truth in the light of day, not whispers in candle shadow. He gestured to Barristan Selmy, just entered. Sir, escort the queen. She is to be guarded, not harmed. His stare cut to Jaime. And you, Kingslayer, step aside. Jaime hesitated, war raging behind green eyes. Something in Robert's stance, or perhaps Jon Arryn's calm beside him, robbed the lion of his roar. He stepped back. In that moment, Jon Arryn felt the world tilt as planned. But his victory tasted of ashes. The realm would not mend simply because truth unfurled. Like Maester's chains, each link of revelation forged another weight. Baratheon wrath would lash, Lannister pride would bleed, and somewhere the north would stir like a kicked direwolf. That evening, the small council reconvened in secrecy thrice. Ravens flew from the rookery under false moons, bound for Winterfell, for the Eyrie, for Dragonstone. Robert barred his doors to wine and women, pacing until fires guttered. Stannis drafted proclamations of illegitimacy. Pycelle whispered of precedence and stain upon crown inheritance. Varys slipped like mist between half-lit halls, catching words that fell and planting others in their stead. On the third night, Jon Arryn returned to his chambers. A single candle guttered, casting shaky halos against the ceiling beams. Upon his pillow lay no threat, no dagger, only a purple velvet ribbon tied in a mocking bow. He knew its source. The color of Myrcella's favorite hairpiece, glimpsed in the gardens that very afternoon. A message of innocence, or a mother's warning. He sat, weary bones creaking. Across the courtyard, a lone cat prowled the ramparts, silhouette black against Starbler. In the Vale, larks would be nesting. In River Run, the rivers ran high with snowmelt. Yet here in the Red Keep, every corridor smelled of siege. Though no horns blared. He wrote a letter to Eddard Stark, his ink scratching like distant thunder. The king believes, yet belief alone is clay. We must fire it in lawful flame. Come south. Bring confirmation only honor can forge. Robert will look to us both as brothers, steel of the realm. He chose not to mention the ribbon. Some omens were too fragile for parchment. By first light of the new moon, word had reached Lannisport. Tywin Lannister read it behind closed doors, his face unmoving as granite cliffs. Beside him, Kevin shifted uneasily. They mean to disinherit your grandchildren. They will name Stannis next in line. Tywin folded the parchment slowly, deliberately. They mean to take the throne. It was not a question. Kevin's voice hitched. You will march. I will prepare. Tywin's eyes flickered toward the sea, where red sails bobbed in gentle swells. The lion does not roar at mice, but he does not allow mice to nibble his cubs. In Winterfell, ravens winged through sleet. Ned Stark read Jon Arryn's words by heartfire. Shadows leaping across his stern features. He thought of Robert in his prime, the thrum of drums upon the trident. Lyanna's blue winter roses turned red. He thought of honor kept and oaths undone. Then he thought of his daughters, bright as morning in the southern court, breathing the lioness perfume. He summoned Maester Luwin. Send for a full muster. Quietly, and prepare the tower rooms. I ride south within the fortnight. The realm's arteries, roads, rivers, ravens, pulsed. Some pulses quickened, some faltered. Merchants found gates barred before dawn, towers lit signaling fires, and in taverns from Bitterbridge to Saltpans whispers pooled like stagnant ale. Illegitimate heirs. Kingslayer, in chains. Stannis crowned before snow fell. Flea Bottom's gutters carried rumor faster than night soil. Yet, in the Red Keep life retained its small, stubborn rituals. Septa Mordain drilled Sansa Stark in courtly posture. Arya escaped lessons to chase cats through buttery corridors. In the Godswood, Joffrey stabbed at practiced dummies with sullen annoyance. Sir Boros praising his every move. Tommen grew lonely without his mother's daily visits, while Myrcella embroidered flowers whose petals frayed under anxious fingers. Cersei remained confined to her apartments. But confinement is a loose word when walls possess secret doors. Varys discovered evidence of midnight crossings. An upended candle, a lock misset, servants bribed with golden stags that vanished before morning. He reported each to Jon Arryn, who weighed them like stones on a scale. Some stones he kept. Some he rolled back into the river of palace intrigue. One truth at a time, he reminded himself, else the dam break and drown them all. The royal chambers were silent the night Jon Arryn presented the final piece. Robert received him alone, seated by a window open to moon-washed air. A jug of wine sat untouched, as startling as a sheathed sword at a melee. The king's gaze was bloodshot yet cold, sober as frost. He held a wooden stag. His carving knife lay on his knee. He had carved stags from yew since boyhood, each one given to a friend before battle. This one bore a cracked antler. "What more?" Robert asked. Arryn's hands did not tremble, though the words he carried might tear kingdoms. Jaime Lannister cannot be trusted alive, yet his death may martyr him. He must be relieved of duty. A council of regents must hold Joffrey and his siblings until their fate is judged by great council. The faith must sanctify the process or risk uprising. And you must acknowledge Stannis as heir presumptive, now, plain and unmasked, so that the realm sees order, not chaos. Menderwart. Robert turned the stag in palm-wide circles. Dennis. He spat the name like vinegar. The Lord of Lectures. The realm will love him like a boil on the arse. They may love fear more. A realm afraid will follow the strong. You are strong, my king. Stand beside your brother, and they will love what he represents. Robert rose, shoulders filling the moonlight. I once feared nothing but losing. Now I fear my own bed. The words shook with bitter confession. My father's house undone, my sons. Not my sons, my queen a liar, my friend my jailer. Where is my joy, Jon? Jon Arryn stepped forward and placed a wrinkled hand on the king's arm. Joy is forged. We will forge it anew. But first truth must burn. He left Robert gazing at the broken stag. Outside, the hallway torches guttered blue, smelling faintly of tallow and salt. Somewhere a woman laughed, high and shrill, as if daring the stones to remember happier nights. Jon Arryn descended the stair, every step echoing like a tolling bell. The hour was late enough that even the schemers slept, except the patient and the damned. When he reached the bottom, a figure detached from shadow. Maester Pycelle, robes dragging. "My lord Hand," he murmured, eyes watery. "A draught for your rest. You look weary." Arryn accepted the vial. A small kindness, he thought. He nodded, pocketed it, and continued on. When he reached his door, he uncorked it, sniffed. It smelled of mint and willow bark. Sleep would come. He poured it out the window. The liquid fell in silver strings, vanishing into night. "Kindness," he murmured, "is a sword of two edges." At dawn, trumpets blared the arrival of Lord Eddard Stark beneath the walls. Beside him rode a retinue of Northmen cloaked in gray, faces set like granite cliffs. Robert greeted him in the yard with an embrace that nearly cracked mail. Council business waited. The bond of men who bled at the Trident mattered more. Yet as the day uncoiled, Arryn noted tensions creeping, rats behind paneling. Jaime Lannister no longer strutted. He glided, wary. Cersei's eyes, when glimpsed from balcony, glowed with something colder than fear. "Emilio." Stannis walked the keep's halls with a dozen Stormlander knights, hand always near sword, and Petyr Baelish smiled at everyone. whispering to no one, pockets heavy with promises. When dusk settled, Jon Arryn convened the council once more. He intended to set the wheel of lawful proceeding in motion. He intended to name Stannis heir. He intended to lock the royal children in courtesy apartments pending the Faith's inquest. He never reached the chamber. A squire found him at the base of a turret stair, eyes wide open, lips blue, no wound visible. They said his heart had failed. They said age had caught him. They said exhaustion. In his pocket, they found the ribbon, still purple, tied anew, though no one could say who had touched him as he walked. On the table in his solar, parchment lay unfurled beside the gray wax of his seal. The letter to Eddard Stark remained unsent, ink dried mid-stroke where the quill fell. Eddard stood over the body, jaw locked. Varys fluttered at his side, voice dripping sorrow. Such tragedy. The hand labored too fiercely for the realm. Ned's eyes never left Jon Arryn's still face. He died of weariness, you say? So Grand Maester Pycelle assures us. Varys' gaze flicked to the empty vial on the dresser. Ned lifted it, sniffed. Nothing remained. Yet, in the Maester's world, nothing often meant most. He turned to face the eunuchs. Show me Pycelle. And outside, in a corridor lit by flickering torches, Queen Cersei passed like a crimson comet, 2 Kingsguard trailing. She did not look upon the dead hand. She did not need to. Her eyes were fixed on corridors beyond, on doors yet unbarred, on a throne that must never seat a stag's true son. Storm clouds gathered west of Maidenpool. Banners of lions and stags and krakens snapped in winds off the narrow sea. Ravens fluttered like fleeing prayers. And somewhere in the Vale, a falcon's cry echoed across stone halls, sudden and anguished. The High Steward announcing that Lord Jon Arryn, defender of the Vale, was dead. But his truths were not dead. They walked in the mail and memory of men like Ned Stark, in parchments that still lingered in chests unseen, in the sharpened will of Stannis Baratheon, in the ravens that had flown before poison's kiss. They walked in the beating heart of a realm that sensed treachery, and now demanded reckoning. The Game of Thrones had always been a game of knives. Jon Arryn's blade had been quiet, hidden. Now it lay bare on the board, gleaming red with new dawn, daring every player to grasp the hilt. And far to the north, beyond gray keeps and godswoods, snow began to fall. Soft, silent, implacable. On a land that remembered, even when men forgot, that winter comes for all. The rain came down on King's Landing as if some capricious god meant to wash the city from the face of the world. It hissed off the red tile roofs and turned the narrow cobbled lanes of Fleabottom to gray-brown slurry. In the Tower of the Hand, Eddard Stark watched the water streak the diamond panes, and thought that even summer storms smelled of snow and wolves, when a Northman missed his own halls. They had wrapped Jon Arryn in the cloth of gold reserved for a hand who died in service, though Eddard doubted Jon would have cared for such splendor. The old falcon's body lay in the sept awaiting final vigil, and already the candles around him guttered under drafts no window could explain. Ned believed in no southern superstitions, yet he felt the chill of those flames, as if Winterfell's heart tree were weeping sap upon his shoulders. Ser Barristan and Zelmy stood behind him, silent as carvings. Ned had asked the old knight to attend because some truths required witnesses, whose honor no one could question. "We will have the Grand Maester soon," Ned said without turning. "I would rather Pycelle account himself before both our eyes." Ser Barristan inclined his pale head. "The Maester claims the hand's heart failed." "His heart did not fail," Ned said. "It was broken by something poured into his cup." He had not slept since arriving. Exhaustion clung to his bones like wet mail, but every time his eyes drifted shut he saw Jon Arryn's mouth open in a fish-white gasp, saw Lysa's trembling warning in Winterfell's courtyard 2 years past. "They mean to kill me too," and heard Robert's laugh turning to a bellow of rage. Sleep would come when justice did, and justice rode a lame mount in these halls. A knock, careful and slow. Barristan opened the door. Grand Maester Pycelle shuffled in, half his weight supported by his chain of office. The links scraped one another as though whispering secrets. "My lords," he wheezed. "You summoned me." Ned turned, letting the silence rest heavy. Rain drummed beyond the glass like impatient fingers. "Maester, I should like an accounting of the potions you gave Lord Arryn in his final weeks." Pycelle's milky eyes blinked slowly. Potions, my lord. Merely customary draughts, willow bark, nettle, a cordial of sweet sleep on restless nights. The hand was stressed. Ned moved to the great oaken desk. Upon it lay the empty vial he had retrieved from Jon's chamber. "I found this beside his bed. The smell lingers faintly of mint, yet Jon Arryn tasted mint seldom. Would you swear under the 7 that you prepared it?" "Bendawan." The old man's throat worked. I cannot recall every vial. My acolytes. Your acolytes do not brew medicines for the hand of the king without your seal. Sir Barristan shifted, gauntleted fingers brushing the hilt at his side. Pycelle noticed. "Perhaps," the maester said. "Another mixture was delivered by mistake. A grave error, yet merely error." Ned held the vial in candlelight. "There is no stopper, no residue of wax. A mistake would have left these small traces. Someone meant the draught for Jon Arryn." He faced Pycelle fully. "You will show me all your ledgers, all receipts of herb and tincture for the last moon's turn, and the acolyte who filled this bottle." Pycelle's jowls trembled. Of course. But mistakes. There are no mistakes," Ned said. "Only crimes waiting on names." He dismissed the maester. The old man bowed too low, his chain sliding across the flagstones like a snake striving for flight. When the door closed, Sir Barristan exhaled. "Do you trust him?" "I trust him to serve whomever he believes will rule when the dust settles," Ned answered. Varys hinted as much last evening. The knight's mouth pressed a bitter line. "When I was young," men said the conclave chose him for wisdom. These days I think they chose him because he wanders the path of least resistance. Ned had no mind for irony. Winter wolves seldom did. If Pycelle helped poison the hand, we will draw the truth from him. And if he was but the cup-bearer, then we will find the cup-maker. Ned picked up a second parchment. Jon Arryn's partial letter to him, the final lines arrested mid-word. "Can you read the ink?" He tried to seal it, but someone stopped him. "And, Sir Barristan studied the page, candlelight bright on white hair. "Robert will look to us both as brothers." "Steel of the realm." The Kingsguard's voice softened. "He trusted you." "Ace, I trusted him." Ned folded the letter. He wrote of a council to judge the Queen's children. That judgment will never come if proof rots with his bones. He thought of Sansa and Arya. Far from Winterfell, yet not beyond reach of claws. Wolves howled in his dreams. He tightened a leather cord around the letter and slipped it inside his jerkin. Jon Arryn hoped to lay truth before the realm. I will not fail him. Robert Baratheon practiced silence poorly. The morning after Jon's death, he roared at the Master of Horse for an ill-shod gelding, then cast a flagon at Renly for speaking Garland Tyrell's name in jest. When Ned found him pacing the solar, the king's eyes were bloodshot but clear, which unsettled Ned more than drunken haze. "It was poison," Robert said before Ned could speak. "I can taste it on the damn air. We cannot yet prove." "I can," Robert growled. "He fought beside me at the bells. I know how a man looks when life flees him. This was not age." "Then?" Ned studied the king's broad shoulders, the once mighty girth now slumped under weight of guilt. "Will you summon an inquest?" "I'll summon a storm." Robert slammed fist on table. "Stannis says the children are false. Now Jon is gone. Sooner or later, I will wait to find you cold and still, and then they'll come for me." He turned, and the wolf's friend of his youth looked out from the anger. "Help me, Ned." "I will, but we must hunt with care. Lions strike hardest when cornered." Robert's laugh was a rasp. "Corner a lion? They are cornering me. All I want is a stag on the throne, my sons." Ned touched the king's arm. "Your Grace, you know the truth." "I know nothing." Robert said, soft as crushed leaves. Only that Jon Arryn lies dead, and I cannot let that stand. He strode to the door. I ride tomorrow. A hunt. I must clear my head. A hunt? Ned's heartbeat quickened. With whom? Whoever keeps me from murdering my own counsel. Robert gave a grim smile. Come, Stark. Fresh air does men good. Then? Varys smelled of lavender that afternoon when he appeared in Ned's doorway, fingers folded like a supplicant's. And an opportune moment, my lord. There is no opportune moment in this city, Ned said. The eunuch drifted nearer. I come bearing condolences in a small assurance. The tears of Lys leave traces under the nail of the first finger on a man's sword hand. Jon Arryn's nails were scraped clean. After death. Ned frowned. Who scraped them? Someone with enough access to a corpse within the sept, and enough knowledge to seek residue. Maesters know such lore. Varys' smile barely creased flesh. But acolytes also share tales for coin. Your whispers implicate Pycelle? My whispers merely repeat what bones and breath cannot. Varys bowed. If you require the names of acolytes on vigil duty, I can oblige. Provide them. Ned weighed the eunuch's intent. Why help me? Because I serve the realm, and the realm sickens. I fear a fever will sweep through its streets if truth dies again. Truth may be many-faced. Varys' eyes gleamed. A pity the realm has only one body to survive infection. Good day, my Lord Hand. Or should I say, my Lord Regent? Ben bow. Ned's mouth tightened. I am no regent. Not yet. The spider murmured, and vanished beyond the door. That night, Cersei Lannister met her brother behind a tapestry, showing King Aegon's coronation. Jaime paced like a caged cat, armor off yet tension wrapped tighter than steel. Pycelle is sweating, he said. He is old. Old men leak fear when the wind shifts. They will question him. He will break. Cersei's smile was a quick slash. Let him. He knows little. She touched Jaime's jaw, thumb tracing the stubble. Robert leaves for a hunt at dawn. Accidents happen beyond city walls. He stiffened. You mean to kill the king? I mean to free my children. She leaned close, whisper warm. Imagine Joffrey crowned, me by his side, you commander of Kingsguard, and father of the king, in secret. Her nails grazed his cheek. Our son will be needled by no stag. Jaime caught her wrist. I swore to protect the king. You swore false. Her green eyes flared. Break the vows that bind your honor to a drunken brute, and bind yourself to our blood. He released her, turning away. Blood cannot erase oaths. Oaths cannot fill the world with wonder. She stepped around him. You have spilled king's blood before. Once more will not soil you further. That was different, he said, but the words lacked steel. Cersei kissed him, soft as silk, then left him with his ghosts. Before dawn, Ned visited Littlefinger in the money pit of the throne room, where Petyr Baelish and Coins were intimate companions. The master of coin lounged on a marble step, counting tiny discs of silver. You come early, Baelish said. Does the North know it is rude to wake a man before he counts the crowns? Ned ignored the jest. I need the loyalty of the City Watch. Littlefinger lifted a brow. Loyalty may be rented, deposit to be determined. 100 men to ride beside the king's hunting party. My own retainers number too few. Robert would call it treason to march armed men at his flank. He calls it treason when sober. He will be drunk in the saddle by midday. Baelish spread his hands. Gold cloaks like gold. 10,000 dragons would buy their mothers. Ned's patience frayed. Name your price in fewer words. An act of trust. Littlefinger rose, dusting sleeves. Let me hold the Stark purse against southern expenses. No. Baelish chuckled. Then perhaps, allow me to escort your lady wife when she arrives. Protection is costly. Ned's heart skipped. Caitlin is not coming. Baelish's smile thinned. Oh, but she will. Lords may hide truths, but sisters speak. Lysis ravens are not caged. Shall cat wander lion dens alone? A gust of dread cut Ned deeper than ice. He turned without another word. Littlefinger's laughter followed him up the steps, echoing like silver on stone. South of the city, the King's Road lay slick as oiled steel. Robert's hunting train trundled. 6 wagons of ale, 4 of spears, 30 men-at-arms, 2 kennel masters, and a dozen nobles, eager to curry favor. Word of the hand's death had not dulled appetite for King's company. If the gods tossed fate's dice, someone wanted to collect the winnings. Renly Baratheon rode beside Ned at the column's head. Rain glimmered on Renly's green cloak, the heart and crown shining beneath lamplight. "You look as grim as Stannis when ships burn," he said. "I had thought the North immune to melancholy." "Weathers differ," Ned replied. "In the North we call this fine autumn." Renly grinned. "Then may your autumn wash the city clean." His eyes flickered to Robert's wagon. "And perhaps flush out hidden vipers. Flush too hard and every scorpion stings. Let them sting each other," Renly said, his tone softening. "Tell me plainly, do you trust our queen?" Ned turned the question in his mind like a blade. "Trust is wasted on those who count it weakness." "Then you do not, daughter?" Renly's smile faded. "Good, because I mean to see Stannis crowned." Ned stared. "Stannis? He's rightful heir," Renly said. "But he's flint. The small folk like flint for walls, not for crowns. They will break their teeth on him. Duty may taste hard and still be necessary." Renly leaned closer. "Help me seat a better Baratheon." His eyes shone with something hungry. "With you guiding the realm, I could rule in name and let the kingdom flourish. And your daughters would wed into greatness." Wind rattled Ned's cloak. "Robert is still king. The boar that staggers too long invites the spear. Do not wait until Cersei aims it." Ned said nothing, and the southern trees blurred by in steady rhythm. Rain softened. Behind them, on a lesser forest track, Sandor Clegane rode with 5 Lannister guards and no banner. Their path curved to meet the kings by dusk. Cersei's orders carried the weight of golden lions. The hound did not ask why a dozen barrels of strong wine traveled with him. He knew court fracture when he smelled it. Wine dulled senses, and dull senses died. That same evening, on the main trail, Robert drank from an iron-bound cask of summer wine, swigging between jokes that left the younger lords convulsed in forced laughter. By the time the white boar rooted beyond the clearing, the king's horse snorted at the reek of spilled wine. Robert hurled a throwing spear. It caromed off a trunk. He cursed, reached for another, found his quiver empty, and howled at the sky. "Bring me the damned beast." No one moved. Ned dismounted and stepped forward, sword sheathed. "Majesty, leave the boar until morning. The ground is slick." Robert spat foam. "You sound Jon's ghost." He lurched. A retainer handed him a boar spear longer than any man present. The king surged into brush, his laughter a gull's cry. 2 dogs followed, startled but loyal. Ned signaled Jory Castle and half his guard. They plunged after. Branches clawed faces. Moss sucked boots. A horn blew thrice. Panic. They found Robert atop a log, boot tangled, spear wedged in a gnarled root. The boar gone. The king cursed as Ned dragged him upright. Blood stained Robert's thigh, but not from tusk. He had gashed himself on his own spear fletching. Yet Ned smelled something fouler than sweat. A sweet, cloying odor drifting from Robert's lips. The king sagged. "Winey, tastes of rot," he muttered, then retched bile and red flecks. Ned's heart hammered. Sandor Clegane burst through brush with 2 barrels and Cersei's guards behind. "The king's wine, Lord Stark," he rasped. "Orders." Ned seized a cup and dipped finger. The wine was darker than normal, syrup thick. He sniffed, berries, cloves, and a bite like bitter almonds. Poison wore many faces. Tears of Lys hid in clear draughts. Strangler blossomed purple on tongues. But this scent. He tasted a tiny drop on fingertip and spat instantly. Basilisk venom brewed in Tyrosh, sweet and slow, fatal by dawn. Eddard Stark had seen it once in Essos. He smashed the cup. "No one drink this." He strode to Robert, who struggled to sit. "Majesty, you were poisoned." Robert laughed weakly. "Tell me something new." Then his eyes rolled. Ned swung to the hound. "Where did this wine come from?" Clegane's scarred face stayed blank. "Loaded at the city gate. Queen's writ." Ned stared at the barrels. Gold lion sigils. The king's belly rose and fell in shallow breaths. Rain thudded on leaves like distant drums. "Mount him," Ned ordered. "We ride back. Now." They lashed Robert across a litter between horses. Lightning flickered. Thunder boomed. The forest road churned to mire, but no man spoke of delay. Ahead, King's Landing waited in the storm's glut. Its walls slick mirrors for every flash above. At the Red Keep gates, Ser Barristan met them with drawn blade and 50 gold cloaks under command of Janos Slint. Ned dismounted, mud caked to knees. "Clear the hall," he barked. "The king is poisoned." Panic rippled. Slint paled. Barristan's gray eyes widened, but he stepped aside, signaling stretcher bearers. Robert grunted once as they lifted him, then fell silent. In the Tower of the Hand, Ned and Barristan barred the door while Tomard stripped the king of soaked tunic. Purple motes blossomed on Robert's arms. Barristan felt the pulse. Fluttering wings. "Maester," Ned called, but Pycelle took long minutes to arrive, sweating despite cold. He examined Robert's pupils, sniffed his lips, and frowned. "A rare toxin. Who gave him this?" "Damned sigh." "Wine from the Queen's wagon," Ned said. Pycelle's eyes slid aside. "We must purge the poison." He produced a vial of dark green, shade of the evening mixed with honeyed milk. "It draws evil humors." "No," Ned said, wrenching cork away. He smelled wormwood, deadly if swallowed. He hurled vial into hearth where it spat blue flame. "Give him milk of the poppy and sliced beans of yarrow. Boil them thrice, then cool." Pycelle's beard trembled. "That remedy is unknown. I saw it in Bravos. It buys hours." He leaned to Barristan. "Send a runner to Garland Tyrell's pavilion outside the city. The reach grows golden root. We need leaves to cleanse blood." Barristan nodded and strode out. Robert's eyes fluttered. Ned took his hand. "Hold, old friend. Winterfell's ale will need you come harvest." The king's fingers squeezed weakly. "If I die," he croaked, "protect them." "Your children?" Robert's gaze clouded. "Mine or no, protect." "The realm." Ned swallowed iron. "I will." Robert drifted. Pycelle ground herbs with shaking hands. "Forgive my ignorance, Lord Stark. But basilisk venom has no sure antidote." "Damn?" "Then pray to every god and demon for strength," Ned said. "Because the realm will need its king alive at dawn." Beyond the closed door, Pettier Baelish leaned on a balustrade overlooking the courtyard. Rain dripped from gargoyles behind him. Varys emerged like a damp ghost, powder washed to pale flesh. "Events accelerate," the eunuch whispered. "Wheels within wheels," Baelish said. "Will you spin with them or be crushed beneath?" Littlefinger laughed lightly. "I intend to sit astride the axle." He flicked a copper coin over the rail. Below, a stray dog barked at the sudden spark. "And what of you?" "I weave what threads remain." Varys turned wide eyes upon the courtyard. "Storms uproot even spiders, Lord Pettier. Mind your own web." Baelish tipped an imaginary crown. "I mind nothing else." East of Myr, Tywin Lannister's raven arrived, bearing news of King gone hunting. He read it in silence. "A hunt is a gamble," he said at last. "Sometimes the boar wins." Kevin shifted. "We have no proof." "We have warriors." Tywin's voice was granite. "Begin gathering levies." "Will the crown permit armed Lannisters so near?" "We ride for Casterly Rock," Tywin said. "If the king survives the wilds, he may call banners. We shall be ready." His pale green eyes met his brother's. "And if he does not, lions shall roar before wolves claim the carcass." That same night, a hooded rider crossed the Trident bearing a sealed letter. Inside wax. "The direwolf of Stark." The message was short. Jon Arryn dead, king poisoned, truths in peril. Come quick with swords that do not bend. The rider knew it by heart, though he could not read. He pressed on, 4 horses waiting along his path, toward River Run, where Catelyn Stark would be choosing roads of her own. In the Red Keep, dawn filtered feebly through stormbreak. Robert Baratheon lay swaddled in blankets, sweat beading on brow, but color less ashen. Ned sat beside him, red-eyed from vigil. Pycelle dozed in a chair, mortar falling from limp fingers. The door creaked. Renly entered, cloak-drenched, Loras Tyrell at his back. Renly's gaze took Robert's pallor, Ned's drawn face. He knelt beside the bed. "Brother." Robert stirred faintly. Renly looked to Ned. "If he dies, the realm dies." "He lives," Ned said, but the words felt thin. Loras's hand rested on Renly's shoulder. "Send riders to the Stormlands. Your banners will march at a word." Renly swallowed. "This city is aflame with rumor. Joffrey sits the throne at Mother's side. Ser Jaime commands garrison. They say Stannis has raised sail from Dragonstone." Ned's head jerked up. "When?" "Last night. Aboard Fury and 15 warships, escorted by Lysene cell sails." Ned rose. "He means to blockade the city." Renly stood too. "Stannis will not wait for Robert to wake. He will claim regency." "Better Stannis' tyranny than Joffrey's chaos," Ned muttered. "Better Baratheon blood than lion claws," Renly agreed. "But what of your daughters? If war takes the streets..." Ned felt the walls closing. He had promised Robert to protect realm and children alike, yet vow pulled him between jagged stones. Sansa dreamt of golden courtliness, Arya of swords. Both were lambs in a slaughterhouse. "We must keep the peace until Robert rises," Ned said finally. "Renly, speak to Ser Barristan. He is Lord Commander. His word sways the King's Guard. If they break from Jaime..." Cersei's hand weakens. "Nah." Renly hesitated, then nodded, and left swiftly. Loras in stride. Ned looked on Robert, each breath a fragile thread. He clasped the king's hand. "Hold till daylight, friend. If winter taught me aught, it taught me endurance." Outside the chamber, Eddard Stark found Ser Barristan returning with a pouch of golden root, and word that Tyrell riders massed at the Gate of the Gods. The city churned like a stirred hornet's nest. Ned felt every sting before it came. "Ser Barristan," he said, "assemble the King's Guard in the throne room. I will address them." "Nah." The old knight bowed. "As you say, Lord Stark. And send a message to Slint. I require the city watch at my call." He paused. "Not Cersei's." Barristan smiled thinly. "Gold cloaks follow gold, not banners. See to it they are paid." As sun climbed behind ragged clouds, bells tolled across the city. Fishermen looked up from nets. Septus crossed themselves. Sellswords cleaned blades. A proclamation unfurled from the Tower of the Hand. King Robert taken gravely ill by accident. Lord Eddard Stark named protector of the realm until his recovery. By command of His Majesty sealed before the hunt. Ned had written and pressed Robert's signet upon it, while the king lay unconscious. Pycelle protested half-heartedly. Barristan sealed. Varys vanished to spread whispers. Cersei read the parchment behind closed doors, lips pressed white. Joffrey stood beside, chin lifted. "He cannot replace you," the boy said. "Send him north in chains." "I shall send him to graves," the queen murmured. "But first, the wolves must howl their last." She stroked Joffrey's blonde hair. "Sit the throne with dignity, my son. We will soon crown you." Jaime entered in white cloak, long sword at hip. The gold cloaks shift like wheat in breeze. Stark talks of pay. "We have coin," Cersei said. "We have less friends," Jaime replied. Stannis sails, and Renly whispers. "The city's throat narrows. Then we will widen it with blood," the queen answered. Ned convened the small council at mid-afternoon. Seats were half empty. Robert's chair vacant, Cersei absent, Pycelle afflicted with sudden cough. Only Varys, Littlefinger, Stannis' chair ignored, and Barristan stood behind. Renly arrived late, dripping from stairs. Ned laid parchment on table. I hold power in Robert's stead. These are my orders. The city watch will patrol every gate and bar armed men from entering without pass. The Iron Bank will extend no credit to Crown without my seal. The King's Guard will protect the King's quarters, not leave them until he is strong. Littlefinger drummed fingers. And what of the Queen? She tends her children, Ned said. She is permitted no council meetings until the King speaks again. Varys sighed. One might phrase that more gently, my lord. One might, Ned agreed. I do not. Renly hid a smile behind hand. Littlefinger leaned forward. The gold cloaks expect bonus coin at month's end. 10,000 dragons, as I predicted. Pay them, Ned said. Stannis carries fewer men than rumors claim. Holdfast on Dragonstone will crumble if the realm stands united. Varys' gaze lingered long. Unity is fragile. Some say a lion stalks Unity's cubs. Betty. Ned met the eunuch's eyes. Then we will break the lion's teeth. Outside, Sansa Stark stood with Septa Mordane in a garden wet from recent showers. She plucked a rose, petals heavy with dew. Ser Boros Blount paced beyond hedge. She had heard whispers. Father called protector. Joffrey forbidden from chambers. Yet she clung to belief in songs. Joffrey would ride to her with apology. Court would laugh again. She did not see Arya balancing atop the wall behind, wooden practice blade in hand, scanning courtyard for routes of flight. In her chambers, Cersei watched both girls from a balcony slit, eyes narrowing. She counted guards, distance, angles. She weighed threats like a jeweler weighs gems. Sansa, a hostage to coin. Arya, a wild spark that might ignite the north. She turned to Maester Pycelle, who waited kneeling. The king? He lingers, your grace. His breaths rattled. But if he wakes, he will not. Cersei said. Prepare the strangler in honeyed essence. Pycelle swallowed. He is strong. Then we shall be stronger. She dismissed him. When he limped away, she let herself sag against cool marble. Her own heart thundered. Jaime must act soon. Stannis must break upon city walls, Tywin must ride, and the wolf from Winterfell must lose his pups. At sundown, a raven reached River Run. Catelyn Stark read Ned's message by torchlight, tears shining on cheeks. Her brother Edmure murmured fear of war. Her uncle Brynden slipped away to ready riders. Cat clenched parchment until knuckles whitened. He needs me, she said. Our girls need me. She breathed deep. I sail at first light. Edmure protested. Brynden did not. I ride with you, the Blackfish said. Gulls cried beyond battlements. Far upriver, lightning forked, showing horizon cut by mountains. Storms traveled with men at war. Night fell on King's Landing. Ned climbed to the rookery, letter in hand. He wrote to Stannis. Come swiftly but peacefully. Robert succumbs to poison. Proof awaits. Crown must endure. He sealed with direwolf, not hand sigil. Ravens beat wings into black sky. Descending, he met Littlefinger once more. The master of coin leaned on parapet, moonlight silvering goatee. Fancy birds, these ravens, he said. Carry secrets, safer than children, carry sweets. Ned kept walking. I have no time. Make some, Baelish said, stepping in path. I swayed Janos Slint with golden promises. The watch will answer your call, but gold runs out. Promises hold longer when bound by shared risk. He motioned to the city. A knife poised above hearts of many invites a man to hold the hilt instead of the point. Speak plainly. You will not keep the throne for Robert's bastard children, Stark. The game ends with either Stannis or Joffrey crowned. I offer a middle move. Invest the gold cloaks in Joffrey's coronation under your regency. Marry Sansa to the king, and you hold power from behind curtain. Balindol. Ned stared, stunned. You propose I betray Robert. I propose you live. Littlefinger's eyes glittered. War kills the innocent first. Children bleed easiest. Ned's hand found the pommel of Ice Dagger's sister. "Step aside." Baelish sighed. "Honor makes armor, but it also makes shrouds." Ned walked on, boots echoing downstairs. Behind him, Littlefinger's chuckle sounded like dice rattling across coffin lid. Robert stirred near midnight. Ned sat alone at bedside, reading a treatise on dragonbone. The king's eyelids fluttered. He groaned. "Easy," Ned whispered, offering water. Robert swallowed weakly. "Pig of a boar," the king muttered. "Should have gutted him twice." "You live," Ned said. Relief washed through. "Rest. Speak later." Robert's eyes focused. "Cersei? In her chambers. Children? Safe." Robert grasped Ned's wrist. "If I die, you will not." "Listen." The king's voice rasped. "Write it. I name you Lord Regent until my boy comes of age. Promise me you'll make the realm safe." "Then Darrell." Ned's throat tightened. "I swear." "Promise you'll look after my children." Ned bowed his head. "I will guard them with my life." Robert exhaled, eyes glistening. "And kill whoever did this." "I will." The king drifted into uneasy sleep. Ned sat back, heart hammering. Hours remained until dawn, and a hand's work did not sleep. Somewhere deep beneath the Red Keep, in tunnels older than recorded time, footsteps echoed. Varys carried a single lantern, its light cutting swath through spiderweb strands. He paused at a junction, listening. A faint scratch replied. A girl stepped from alcove, ragged dress, bare feet. Her eyes held secrets older than kings. She handed the eunuch a slip of parchment. Varys read by lantern. "Cersei prepares strangler at first crow." He closed eyes in silent prayer. When he opened them, they shone with steel. "Run," he told the girl, pressing a silver moon into her palm. "Run and forget the way back." She vanished into dark. Varys turned north, toward the Tower of the Hand. When he reached Ned's door, guards barred him, but he spoke 3 words. "For the king." They let him pass. Ned stood at desk, sealing another message. Varys bowed. "We have hours," he said. "No more." Ned read the message. He nodded once. "Slow. Then we must act before crow." In the great hall just before dawn, Eddard Stark donned gray mail, sword at hip. Sir Barristan gathered the king's guard. Save Jaime, still at the queen's side. 30 gold cloaks under Janos Slynt waited stiffly. Ned addressed them. "The king lies poisoned. By his writ, I serve as protector. We ride to seize the queen, her children, and Sir Jaime, that questions be asked under light of law. No harm will befall them if they yield." His gaze swept the men. "Will you follow?" Janos Slynt gave curt nod. "We serve the throne, and the purse." Littlefinger approached, eyes unreadable. "You walk a thin path, Stark. Then do not follow if heights frighten," Ned said. The doors thundered open. Cersei entered clad in black silk, crown resting on golden hair. Jaime flanked her, white cloak swirling, unsheathed sword agleam. Behind, 100 Lannister guards. Cersei's voice rang. "You overstep, Eddard Stark." Ned stepped forward. "Your Grace?" "The king commands." "The king is dying." Her words sliced. "In his name, I order you to yield Tower of the Hand and bend knee before Prince Joffrey, true heir of the 7 kingdoms." A gasp rippled. Ned drew breath. "Prince Joffrey is no true heir. And you, Cersei Lannister, are under arrest for high treason and regicide." Steel slid from scabbards in unison. Gold cloaks, Lannisters, Kingsguard, Dot. The hall became forest of blades. Littlefinger raised a hand. "Let us not ruin the carpets." Cersei's green eyes blazed. "Remove this man." Slynt hesitated. Gold glittered on Lannister guards. Ned saw coin flip in every eye. Fear chilled him. "Yan. And all? Ka." Janos Slynt looked left, looked right. At the gold cloaks beneath his command, At the polished helms of Lannister men arrayed like gilded teeth behind the queen. And in those darting eyes Ned Stark saw the greed of every sellsword who ever weighed purse against principle. Rain spattered through a broken clerestory high above, tapping the flagstones like an impatient drummer. The air carried the mingled smell of lamp oil, wet wool, and a tension so tight it rang in the ears. Ned raised his voice. Not a shout, but the ironbark of Winterfell's master of arms addressing recruits. Sir Jaime Lannister stands in open defiance of his grace's writ. Any man who draws steel for him brands himself traitor to the crown Robert Baratheon wears. Cersei's laugh was a silver cut. The crown Robert Baratheon wore. Lord Stark. She lifted one hand, slim fingers gleaming with rings. My husband lies dying. The realm cries out for a steady hand. Kneel and swear fealty to Joffrey Baratheon, first of his name, and be forgiven. Now. Jaime's sword arm hovered near ready, but his eyes never left Ned. Behind their green glitter Ned read calculation, not eagerness. Jaime counted numbers. He always had. Sir Barristan stepped to Ned's side, white cloak rippling. High treason cannot be forgiven in an instant, your grace. The King's Guard swore vows to king and kingdom. If his majesty recovers, he alone may grant pardon. Cersei's lips tightened. Sir Barristan, you are relieved of command. Sir Boros, escort the old man to his chambers. Meow. Boros Blount hesitated, caught between oaths. Sansa Stark's timid gasp floated from the garden corridor beyond the pillars. Arya's answer came as a muffled curse. The court's lesser lords. Redwine cousins, a Fossaway knight, timid Mollendor, stood transfixed, eyes flicking like sparrows. Ned lifted Ice's small sister, the short northern blade he carried in halls. Its gray steel swallowed the torchlight. Hold, he said, and in his throat he felt the weight of every northern ancestor who had spoken that single word before battle. Robert still draws breath. Queens do not command while kings yet live. That was the moment Janos Slynt chose his side. His eyes settled on Littlefinger. Just a glance, but enough. Petyr Baelish twitched one corner of his mouth. The smallest nod a man could give without moving his head. Slynt turned to his gold cloaks. Seize Lord Stark. For a heartbeat no one moved. Then steel flashed. The hiss of drawn blades filled the throne room. Half the gold cloak stepped forward, half back, and confusion shredded the neat rows into eddies of men who did not know which banner flew above their pay. Jaime advanced 3 paces, white cloak swirling, golden sword tip leveled. Lannister helms clanged as 40 men surged. Ned ducked the first thrust, a gold cloak whose hand shook more than his blade, and cracked the man's wrist with a hilt blow. Barristan pivoted, parried a spear, and sent an armored elbow into the attacker's temple. Varys vanished behind a column like morning mist returning to valley. Littlefinger sidled toward a side door and melted into the throng. Arya shrieked from somewhere high. She had scaled a statue of Baelor the Blessed overlooking the chaos. Sansa's gown fluttered through a knot of fleeing court ladies. Cersei watched, eyes bright with the hunger of a lioness who scents fresh kill and knows the hunt inevitable. The first blood splashed across tile. A Lannister guard hamstrung by Barristan's deft stroke. Ned pressed forward, using the confusion to reach Slynt. He caught the commander's breastplate with his offhand and yanked him close. Call them off, he breathed, blade point at Slynt's throat. Slynt spat in Ned's face. Wine-stale breath stank. You are dead, Stark. Ned slammed hilt against helm, dropping Slynt senseless. Not yet. Jaime Lannister was suddenly there, golden hair damp with sweat. Smile thin. Their swords met. Ice's sister against Bright Roar's heirloom steel. The clang was song. Jaime pressed, nimble as a cat, but Ned fought with a taller man's reach and the cold patience of winter. 2 exchanges, 3. Jaime feinted low. Flick riposted high. Ned caught it in the guard, slid aside, boot heel scraping marble. Nearby a gold cloak screamed. A Lannister man went down clutching spilling gut. Lightning forked in the open skylight. Thunder cracked, a drumbeat marking time for nightmare. Then a voice roared from the far archway. Enough. Every head turned. Renly Baratheon strode in, helm under arm, rain running down green enamel breastplate. Behind him poured 40 armored reachmen, Tyrell houseguards loaned by Loras, their helms licked with gold lilies. Renly's sword was sheathed, yet the promise of unsheathed steel hung heavier than the storm clouds. He planted himself between lines. "Put up your blades or you'll answer to Storm's End. And to me." Jaime's smile broadened. "Little Renly come to play hero." Renly did not blink. "Kill Lord Stark and half the realm breaks against your family's door? Hurt his daughters and the other half will burn your gates. Choose, Kingslayer." Ned felt sweat trickle down spine. In that heartbeat of stillness, only the rain and distant bells murmured. Cersei's voice glided through the lull. "My Lord Renly, you arrive late. Kneel to the rightful queen and crown prince, and we need spill no more of the realm's precious blood." Renly inclined his head slightly, not a bow, but a swordsman's nod. "I have knelt to Robert Baratheon, not to fears and skirts." Gasps. Steel rasped anew. Jaime's shoulders tensed. Before swords could cross again, Ser Barristan raised his voice. Calm, resonant, every syllable an unbroken white pillar. "The Kingsguard is sworn to protect the king, not the queen, not princes, not small councils. Until his grace lies dead, any act taken against Lord Stark, named protector by the king's own hand, reeks of foul treason." Cersei's eyes narrowed. Jaime shifted. The gold cloaks wavered. Soldiers caught between opposing storms. Ned sheathed his dagger-sized sword. "Stand down," he told Jaime. "Stand down and let the king's order be obeyed." At first Ned thought the Kingslayer would strike. Instead, Jaime lowered Bright Roar by a finger's width. That small motion rippled. Lannister blades drooped. Gold cloaks stepped back from the line. Renly's reachman exhaled. Cersei's voice, when it came, was silken ice. "We withdraw, for now. Do not think this ends while my children's lives stand at a northern traitor's mercy." She pivoted, black dress whispering across tile. Jaime followed, flanked by his men, but her exit was no surrender. Ned read the vow in her spine. The hour was near dawn when Ned, Barristan, and Renly gathered in the Tower of the Hand. Outside, rain slowed to a mist that clung to lantern flames, casting halos above the courtyard. Jory Castle arrived with Arya, mud-smeared and defiant. Sansa came with Septa Mordain, trembling yet unharmed. Ned pulled both daughters close, one arm over each, and for a moment the wars of the realm shrank to two beating hearts against his ribs. When the girls slept at last in a guarded inner room, Ned faced his allies across the chamber table. Renly laid a map of Blackwater Bay flat. "Stannis' fleet was sighted rounding Massey's Hook," he said. "At least 20 warships. Some Lyseni contract. He'll anchor off Dragonstone before striking." Barristan stroked his temple. "He will not wait. He will sail upriver the instant winds allow." Ned tapped King's Landing on the map. "We hold city and king. If Stannis appears a savior to the mob, we lose both. Yet if Lannisters seize the throne first, the realm fractures." Renly's tone sharpened. "Put Joffrey behind bars. Name Robert's bastards next in line. Rule until Tommen comes of age." "Robert has grown children," Barristan objected gently. "Whatever their blood, the faith and small folk know them as royal. To name bastards king invites revolt." Ned felt the weight of his promise to Robert. Protect the realm and his children. He could not send innocents to the headsman. The Queen and Jaime face trial. The children will be kept safe, under guard, in suitable quarters. Renly drummed fingers. "And when Robert dies? Because the poison will finish him, Eddard. Pycelle says so, though he hides it behind coughs." Ned's jaw clenched. "I will not yield until Robert either wakes or passes. His last order stands." Renly's eyes gleamed with unspoken strategy, but he only nodded. "Very well. I muster Reachmen and Stormlanders loyal to me. They will defend the king's right until the realm decides." Barristan gathered his white cloak. "The Kingsguard splits if the Queen commands Sir Boros and Sir Meryn. I will rally Sir Aerys, Sir Preston, and Sir Balon Swan. 4 against 3. Odds enough." Ned clasped the old knight's forearm. Honor guide you, sir. As Barristan left, Varys entered like a pale shadow. A delicate balance, my lords. Too much weight on any side snaps the rope. Renly smirked. Spider, we are past balancing. We brace for tempest. Varys sighed. Tempests drown spiders. He produced a folded parchment. From the docks, a Braavosi galley sails west bearing Tywin Lannister's envoy. Word is sent to Casterly Rock. Tywin rides? Ned asked. Soon. Varys opened palms. And when the lion arrives, claws follow. Renly cursed softly. We'll need 10,000 men to hold against the Rock's host. He glanced at Ned. Summon the North. I already have. Ned remembered the Raven dispatched to Winterfell, to Roose Bolton at the Dreadfort, to Helman Tallheart, to Lord Manderley in White Harbor. Yet ravens flew slower than spears. Varys cleared his throat. Summon another ally, one the Queen once scorned. Lord Tyrion Lannister remains prisoner in the Vale. If father and siblings break oath, the imp's safety becomes your coin. Renly's eyes widened. Send Jon Royce to King's Landing with the dwarf as hostage. Use him to stay Tywin's hand. Bend. Ned considered. Worth a raven to the Eyrie. Yet Lysa Arryn mistrusts courts. Remind her, Varys whispered, that her husband's murderers roam free. Justice for Jon binds hearts faster than fear. Ned dipped quill in ink and penned the message swift. Sister. By now you know your husband was poisoned. The same vipers strike still. Send Tyrion Lannister under heavy guard to King's Landing, that he stand accused. In exchange I vow full inquiry and punishment for those who slew Jon Dond. Eddard. He sealed with the moon and falcon of Arryn rather than direwolf. Grief sharpened persuasion. Cersei Lannister stood before the hearth in Maegor's holdfast, its flames painting her cheekbones red. Sir Jaime tossed water from cloak and paced the room, agitation marking every stride. We should strike now, he said. Take the girls, take Stark's head, ride. Cersei's gaze did not shift from fire. Strike and die. Renly holds half the gold cloaks, Stark the other half. Barristan splits my Kingsguard. We need father's spears. Jaime tossed up his hands. Father is 1,000 leagues. Then stall until he nears Harrenhal. She turned. Golden hair a banner. You will escort Joffrey to the throne at midday. He will declare himself protector in his father's stead. Public oath, public adoration. The mob loves a golden prince. Stark will contest. Let him. She smiled thinly. Littlefinger whispers in gold cloak ears even now. When swords cross again, Janos Slynt will not hesitate. Jaime frowned. He hesitated tonight. He hesitates once. She bent to a carved box on table, withdrawing a tiny crystal phial. Clear liquid glimmered inside. Second time his purse bulges with golden lions. She slipped it into sleeve. And if poison cannot finish a stag, a blade will. Jaime stopped pacing. You mean to kill Robert yourself? Her smile shimmered. Why stain silk when others wield steel for coin? There are blades eager to slip through ward. Jaime's mouth twisted. I swore to keep him alive. You swore to protect us, she countered. Choose. He looked away. Thunder rolled overhead. After a long silence he said, I'll guard the prince. See, he wears no crown of ashes. She approached, touched his cheek. And I shall carve the path. Morning found Robert Baratheon trembling, lips cracked. Ned sat on the edge of the bed, spooning yarrow brew between teeth. The king swallowed, gagged, forced it down. Still alive, Robert croaked. Bastards will be disappointed. No bastard yet, Ned said. But vipers coil. Robert's hand found Ned's wrist. I gave you power. You did. Ned laid cool cloth on fevered brow. I'll hold it until you rise. Rise? Robert wheezed faint laugh. I feel colder than winter's balls. If I die. Speak not of dying. Robert's gaze hardened through pain. If I die, burn the throne before Lion's cub sits it. Ned opened mouth to protest. Robert's grip tightened. Promise. Ned swallowed. I will see right done. Robert sighed. You never could lie. Weariness claimed him again. Pycelle shuffled in. Fear etched. My lord, the queen summons me. Go, Ned said. But remember who holds the king's signet. When the maester left, Renly entered in polished armor. The court gathers. Cersei will seat Joff. Ned rose. Not if I seat myself first. He donned doublet, strapped sword. Guard the king. No one in or out save Barristan and Varys. Oh. Renly clasped his arm. May the gods grant you boring counsel, for once. Ned allowed a thin smile. Boredom is for summers. Come winter, we make do with survival. The throne room buzzed like a hive. Lords jostled for vantage. Septons muttered prayers. Small folk aloud in gallery shouted rumors. Atop the iron throne, prickling with the shards of 1,000 surrendered swords, Prince Joffrey sat stiff-backed, golden hair freshly oiled, crown half a size too large perched above petulant brow. Cersei stood at his right, black as raven feathers. Jaime flanked left in white plate, handsome face unreadable. Sir Boros Blount called for silence. His Highness? Joffrey of the houses Baratheon and Lannister? First of. The doors crashed open. Eddard Stark strode between pillars, Barristan one step behind. Janos Slynt and 30 gold cloaks at his heel. To Joffrey's left he saw Littlefinger near the dais, smile ghost thin. Ned halted beneath the throne's shadow. Prince Joffrey by the command of King Robert, I. Cersei's voice sliced above. Lord Stark, you stand before your rightful king. Kneel or be removed. Undau. Murmurs swelled. An old Stormlander shouted. Where's the stag crown? Ned raised the parchment bearing Robert's seal. By this decree, drawn by the king's own hand and witnessed by Sir Barristan Selmy, I, Eddard Stark, serve as protector of the realm until Robert's recovery. Any who obstruct this writ obstruct the king himself. Cersei laughed softly. That scrap means nothing. Robert dies. Joffrey rules. Robert lives, Barristan proclaimed, voice carrying to vaults. He names Lord Stark regent. Joffrey rose, crown slipping. I am your king. I order you to seize this traitor. And oh. Slynt glanced at Ned, then at Cersei, then at the purse Littlefinger fingered. A heartbeat. 2. Slynt lifted a gauntlet and snapped. Gold cloak surged. To Stark's rear. Ned recognized betrayal an instant before blades glinted. He roared, turning. Barristan whirled, driving white cloak forward. The first cloak spear struck Ned's mail and skidded. Ned punched hilt to teeth, ducked second thrust. Cersei smiled. Victory secure. Jaime stepped down 2 stairs, sword blurring. Barristan met him. Steel rang again. Slynt's men pressed. Ned fought toward exit, but gold cloaks penned him. Littlefinger appeared beside him, dagger tickling Ned's ribs. I warned you. Armor or shroud? You chose shroud, Ned growled. Petir's eyes shimmered sorrow. I choose ladders, Ned. Chaos is the surest ladder. He flicked a signal. 2 gold cloaks seized Ned's arms from behind. His sword clattered. Across hall, Renly's reachman tried to push in, blocked by Lannister shields. Screams rose. Blood spattered banners. Cersei raised hand. Enough. Stark's men will lay down arms or the girls die. Ned froze. Sansa and Arya were not here. Heathen guarded, but Cersei's venomous certainty chilled him. She read the fear. We have your sweet red head. She lied. Yield. Barristan snarled, but Ned spoke quick. Stand down. He met the old knight's eyes. No more blood today. Barristan saw. He surrendered his sword. Renly's guards backed, forced by shields. Joffrey descended, trembling with excitement. Bring him. Gold cloaks dragged Ned to base of the throne. Joffrey stared down. You are traitor. Ned forced calm. I served your father. My father? Joffrey laughed harshly. My father is dead because of you. Cersei touched. Joff's shoulder. "The traitor will confess before the Sikti. For now, take him." Slint nodded. Black cells. They hauled Ned toward door. Littlefinger followed, sheathing dagger with flourish. Barristan moved as if to accompany, but Goldcloaks barred him. Jaime wiped sword on cloth, eyes glittering with something like regret. Cersei called after Ned, "When next we meet, Lord Stark, kneel, or lose your head." Ned Stark did not answer. The cells beneath the red keep swallowed him like the belly of some colossal beast, torchlight shrinking until only echo remained. Candlemark later, Arya Stark crouched atop the 90-foot gargoyle, overlooking Blackwater cliffs. She'd climbed unseen from a sally port, using routes she'd scouted in cat hunts. Below, narrow windows opened into prison passages. After an hour of patient listening, she heard it. The muffled cough she knew from long winter nights by castle hearths. Her father. Guards paced the corridor, torches guttering in wind gusts. Arya pulled needle from sheath. She could not fight grown men with curved swords. Yet. But Nymeria's blood stirred in her. Find pack. Strike night. She watched, waited, counted steps, mapped hearts. High above, ravens beat wings across a bruised sky. The sun bled red along horizon, heralding more storms, or dawn's thin mercy for those still breathing come first light. That night, Varys descended secret stairs to Ned's cell. Two mute gaolers opened the iron door, torchlight slanted across damp stones. Ned sat against the wall, ankles chained, wrists red. He raised weary eyes. Varys set a small stool, perched. "Dark times, Lord Stark." "Darker yet," Ned said, voice hoarse. "If liars sit thrones, truth seldom wears crowns," Varys murmured. "But perhaps crowns can be bent to truth." He produced a quill, parchment. "Confess treason, bend knee, swear Joffrey king. The queen will spare your daughters." Ned's jaw set. "Spare how?" "Yid Sansa to the king, keep Arya at court. A hostage is safest under watchful eyes." "Ael's hostage," Ned spat. "Robert's last command dies with me." Varys tipped his head. "Robert is dead." The words hit like ice. He breathed last at sunset. A cut upon his heel reopened. He bled. Or so the maester says. "Bem-T." Ned closed eyes. In darkness he saw Robert at the trident, saw Lyanna, saw snow falling on graves. If the lioness slays the stag, the realm bleeds. "The realm already bleeds," Varys whispered. "Hearts and bellies. War rides on every raven wing." He offered parchment. "Confess, live, protect those you can." Ned opened eyes. Gray steel. "I swore to Robert. I swore to Jon. I swore to the North. And you will keep no oaths dead." Varys's voice carried no judgment, only pragmatic sorrow. "The choice is yours." He set parchment on floor, quill atop, and withdrew. The cell door boomed shut. Ned stared. Hours passed. Rats squeaked in stone. Somewhere far above, bells tolled Robert's passing. He thought of Sansa's laugh chasing snowflakes, of Arya sparring with Bran among winter pines. He thought of Robb, of Catelyn's hands cold with worry, of Jon Snow on the wall, ghost silent beside. He dipped quill. The next dawn saw crowds mass in the great sept of Beller. They came in thousands, tradesmen in damp cloaks, fishwives carrying children, knights in polished steel. The strangers' reign had ceased. Now a hush wove through the populace, tension taut as bowstring. On marble steps stood Cersei and Joffrey, gold and black banners streaming overhead. Jaime flanked them, white cloak billowing. On a lower tier, Renly Baratheon watched, jaw set. Beside him, Sir Loras Tyrell whispered counsel. Barristan Selmy, stripped of command yet unbowed, stood near, white cloak clasped at throat, like a vow never broken. Ned Stark emerged escorted by Janos Slynt and 4 gold cloaks. His beard was gray with cold sweat. Bruises darkened cheek, yet his stride held Winterfell snow beneath. Shouts rose. Some jeers. Some cheers. High Septon waddled to dais, robes glittering, prepared to witness confession. Cersei stepped aside. Joffrey gestured imperiously. Kneel. Ned knelt. The crowd hushed. High Septon unfurled scroll. Eddard Stark, formerly Lord of Winterfell, stands accused of treason and lying about the lineage of his grace King Joffrey. How plead you? Ned raised eyes, not to Joffrey, but to the sky beyond pillars, where morning pierced cloud like sword point. He saw one raven bank and turn. Its wings flashed silver in sun. Hope flies, father told him once, even when cage is close. He spoke, voice clear. I confess to spreading false words of the Queen's children's birth. I confess to seeking to usurp the rightful throne. I ask His Grace mercy. Gasps. Murmurs. Cersei's smile triumphed. Joffrey puffed. Mercy? Do traitors deserve mercy? Ned forced steady breath. Grace is the mark of kings, Your Majesty. For a moment, Joffrey enjoyed the weight of life in his hands. Then he declared, My mother wishes mercy. My small council voices, mercy. But I am king. Bring me his head. Now. A roar ripped through the crowd. Shock, disbelief, bloodlust. Cersei's eyes widened. Even Jaime's composure cracked. Barristan stepped forward. Horror carved on face. Renly shouted, No! But Goldcloaks barred him. Slynt motioned headsman forward. The greatsword Heartsbane gleamed. Ned closed eyes. Above, the raven cawed. A second raven joined, then a third. Their cries pierced tumult. Danini. Atop the step's shoulder stood Arya Stark. Small, feral, needle in hand. She gave a shrill whistle. The ravens lifted as one, swirling. In that swirl Renly moved. Reachman surged. Barristan drew sword. Jaime met him. Steel danced. Shock shattered order. Arya darted through legs, heedless of screams, racing for her father. A gold cloak lunged. Needle flashed, nicking artery. Hot crimson sprayed. She reached Ned as headsman raised blade. Slynt barked. Hold! Confusion swirling. Crowds stampeded. Littlefinger seized Sansa's arm. Somehow she had been led to stand near dais, and dragged her back toward carriage. Cersei shouted orders lost in din. Arya saw it at her father's wrist iron with headsman's dagger dropped in panic. The blade snapped. Chains held. A mounted knight rode by, knocked Arya aside. Ned tried to stand. Guards slammed him down. Then a horn blast sounded from the city gates, deep, booming, alien. Another answered. Higher. The crowd parted like water as 80 mailed riders galloped straight up the street. Tall men in fur-rimmed cloaks, sigil of a gray direwolf emblazoned on heavy shields. At their head, auburn hair streaming, Robb Stark rode a black destrier. He shouted, Winterfell! The north burst into King's Landing. Flaming arrows arced from rooftops. Wildfire flared green from hidden pots loosed by Cersei's alchemists. Chaos devoured order. Robb's riders cleaved through press, slamming into gold cloaks. Grey Wind howled, lunged from saddle front, jaws snapping. Robb drove toward dais. Behind him galloped Theon Greyjoy with bow bent. Renly's men saw northern colors. They fell in as allies, splitting city watch along new fault lines. Cersei screamed for retreat. Jaime fought like fire, but Barristan's skill plus Grey Wind's fury forced him back step by step. Robb reached Ned. He swung sword, shattering manacles. Ned rose, free but dazed. Arya tugged him toward gap opened by northerners. Slynt tried to rally. Greywine barreled into him, fangs tearing crimson. Littlefinger dragged Sansa through side arch. The girl cried out. Arya heard, wrenched toward scream. Ned caught her wrist. Later, we live first. They fled down steps, onto Robb's spare horse. Northmen closed around. On dais, Cersei and Joffrey retreated inside Septi, with Lannisters forming shield wall. Barristan disengaged, blood on blade, and vaulted stairs to rejoin Renly. Flames licked pillars. Smoke curled. Outside the city walls, Stannis Baratheon's galleys drifted upriver, black sails bellied with wind. Atop Fury's forecastle, Stannis scowled at smoke pillars. They burn already. Good. Maester Pylos approached. Lord. Ravens from Dragonstone. Lord Valerion assembles second wave. Late. Stannis muttered. He studied riverbank. Signal for landing north of Mudgate. Seize granaries. Hunger conquers faster than swords. Robb's Northmen swept Ned to the Mudgate postern, where Maester Luwin awaited with a litter. Ned slumped, bleeding from shoulder graze. Arya mounted behind a Karstark rider. Grey Wind trotted, muzzle red. Robb leaned close. "Father, can you ride?" Ned managed nod. "To Riverlands," he gasped. "Not north, not yet. Muster River Run, the Vale. We march south again with proof and allies." Robb's jaw set, boy no longer. "As you say." Maester Luwin dressed wound while Ned dictated a letter to King Stannis, urging truce until truth judged. Another raven. They rode through sneering streets, crossbow bolts clattering off shields. Mance Raider's old northern trick, torch decoys, covered withdrawal. By night, Ned crossed the Tumblestone Ford under coal stars. In his saddlebag lay Varys' parchment confession, unsealed. Also a folded blank sheet and broken quill. His own confession never signed. He had spilled no ink for liars. He rode with sons and daughter and direwolf into war's uncertain dawn, heart heavy yet beating strong with northern frost. Behind him King's Landing burned, ahead rivers of blood and banners. Yet somewhere in deep night he felt Jon Arryn's spirit walk beside. "Quiet, old friend," murmured. "Winters do not last forever." And Ned Stark whispered to dark sky, "Nor does false spring